up, y'all, and welcome to Malt News or Whiskey Reviews. I am Eric on the bar for today, Glenmorangie. We have the new Barrel Select release, 12 years old, Palo Cortado finish, alongside Winston the Whiskey Cat. I'm going to give you a nose taste finish review of this single malt whiskey. I'll tell you a bit about the value, share my final thoughts, give it a final score, and give you a malt musing. But first, if you haven't, take a second, smash that sub button. Make sure you don't miss any of these reviews I drop here on YouTube, as well as keep you in the know about Happy Hour, which I do periodically streaming. So this is Glenmorangie Highland Distillery, this Barrel Select release. This is the third in the series. They put this one out here in the United States. I think I started seeing this about a month ago. And this one is bottled at, well, why don't we just jump into the tale of the tape? It is bottled at 46% ABV, which is really quite nice. It is a Palo Cortado finish. So if you don't know what Palo Cortado is, it is a sherry, but kind of an interesting one, right? So similar to things like Amontillado or Fino, it is aged under basically yeast. But for some reason, it begins to oxidize, unlike the others, and you get this kind of very special, I don't know, some folks say it's kind of the most rare of the sherries. So you have a finish of this Palo Cortado. How long, we do not know. It does say this is 12-year aged in bourbon and sherry cask. 46% ABV. That is all this is telling us, unfortunately. This does not come in a box. So we don't know anything about the chill filtration or color, so we can assume, unfortunately, they have added color and they had chill filtered it. So that is your tale of the tape here on the Barrel Select release from Glenmorangie. If you have been watching the channel for a while, or if you go back and look at my Glenmorangie playlist, you will find that the Malaga cask, which was their first in this Barrel Select release series, I did your review of, as well as the one last year, which was Cognac. Okay, let's get this in the glass. Let's see what we got working for us here. This is that color. Again, unlikely that it's a natural one. But let's check out the nose. Unlike most Glenmorangies that you get from their core range, kind of sweet and more on the delicate, elegant side, this is sweet, but it is also quite robust. You're getting, again, that kind of yeasty, foosty note. You're getting some nuttiness here. Lots of nice fruit notes, kind of in the apple cinnamon range. It almost just has kind of a Dunnage Warehouse sort of a funk note to it, which is quite nice, and a welcome flavor note here in a Glenmorangie. It almost is like a fresh peat note. Now, this is not smoky, and it is a non-peated whiskey, but that's almost what how this is presenting itself. Or if you've ever had manzanilla, so it's kind of in that manzanilla territory for sherry influence on a whiskey. Okay, all in all, sweet, pretty complex. Good amount of depth, a little bit of that kind of bourbon cask barrel char in the background, showing up with vanilla, honey, burnt orange. Let's check it out. Quite rich. Again, really kind of bold for a Glenmorangie. You're getting a nice amount of this, again, bourbon cask, sherry cask, and the Cortado is giving it this extra robust kind of punchiness. It's pretty rich. Hazelnut, roasted nuts. There's Winston the Whiskey Cat. Let's just see what he thinks. You know, he doesn't like anything. He's got quite a discerning palate. Medium finish. There's the classic Glenmorangie kind of orange, honeyed, kind of sweet, almost peachy note. Quite nice. Very, very delicate on the palate, but it's belying that kind of robustness. Okay, the Glenmorangie pitcher is filled with some nice spring water. Let's put a couple drops on here. This is bottled at 46%. So let's see what we get here with some water. Wow, there's a really nice, almost white chocolate, dark chocolate combination at the tail end of this finish. Kind of like chocolate covered espresso bean. Much more citrus now with water. Interesting. It's still pretty tight and still pretty rich on the nose, but you are getting a bit more kind of a lemon lime zestiness to it. Yeah, it's quite good. There's that punch from the Palo Cortado that just gives it a drying, again, almost just herbal note to go with that nuttiness, sweetness that's just exploding on this whiskey. Very nice. Hey, okay, so let's talk about value. So this is pretty readily available here in the United States. It's limited release. You're not going to be able to find these forever. Here in July 2023, this is going to run you about $85 to $90. So not exactly inexpensive, particularly for just a 12-year-old Glenmorangie. As you know, much of their core range, when you think about the finished whiskeys in their core range, are all 12 years old and running a bit cheaper than this. Obviously, this is a quite rare sherry cask that they've sourced for this, so that's going to affect the cost, and they have up that ABV. I'm going to sit that this is kind of a medium value. I'm just going to leave it right there. Let's talk about final thoughts and whether or not you should be out seeking this bottle of Glenmorangie. So first things first, with the price, this is a really interesting way to get an opportunity to sample a more rare sherry. I mean, you often see sherry maturations and finishes like Oloroso, Pedro Jimenez. You find that stuff all the time. This, not so much. And when you do, it's usually quite pricey. So you got a really nice opportunity here to try it. Does the whiskey deliver? I think for the most part, for what it's trying to do, yes. It's not going to blow your socks off, but it's got some interesting notes. It's definitely a twist on a lot of Glenmorangie stuff. And quite frankly, I think this Barrel Select Release series has been really one of the most welcome things I've seen them do in quite some time. My general feeling of the three is still the initial one from 2011, was that 2021? The Malaga cask, I think, is still the best one. But this one is definitely a step up from last year's cognac, which I found somewhat disappointing. And my score here is going to reflect that. So taking into consideration the price, the quality of this whiskey, and really just the way that they've presented it. Now, I wish they would have done a little bit more in terms of not chill filtering or and providing natural color, or at least stating it here on the bottle. These do not come in tubes, as I mentioned. So it would be nice if they provided that information. I know that they have on the Malaga cask in the past. It is what it is. I'm going to sit at a solid 3.5 out of 5 on this. So this is a whiskey that I think you should definitely go out and try if you get the opportunity. And, you know, quite frankly, if this is something that speaks to you already, worth grabbing a bottle while they are available. So 3.5 out of 5 is my final score on the Glenmorangie 12 Barrel Select Release top finish. Let me know in the chat below. Have you had this before? Have you had anything else finished this way or anything else in this series? I'd love to hear about it. And of course, smash that thumbs up if you enjoyed this review, and even smash thumbs down if you didn't. I'm all about honest critiques, so feel free to share them. With that, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this dram, and I'll kick you to your malt musing. We'll see you next time here on Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. Salam, y'all.